This presentation is titled The Impact of Harvest Misalignment on Economic Results in OFE Data, and is given by Brittany Edge from the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign. This is an example of a non-farm precision experiment for a soybean seeding rate trial from the DIFM project. We've left the headlands and the sidelands of the field out of the experimental rates and instead applied a status quo rate. This should look very familiar to many of you. On the right side of the slide, we see what typical OFE data looks like after the harvest and application is done, with the black points representing the yield observations and the green points representing the as-planted rates. The problem this research focuses on is harvest misalignment. This means that the harvester is going over an area that received more than one treatment rate. On the left side is what we expect, points that are collinear and the final units of observation are easy to make. But what can happen is that the harvest and treatment points are not collinear, as in on the right, where the harvester and planter are driving in two different directions, meaning that the harvest will be going over different planting rates. We will cover three types of harvest misalignment: a parallel shift, when the driving direction is correct, but a farmer starts in a different part of the field than expected; different driving angles, which can occur due to farmer preferences; and incompatible machinery widths, when the harvester and applicator are of two different sizes, either a harvester is smaller or larger than the applicator. This figure highlights the implications of estimating the yield response curve with data that includes harvest misalignment. The example is for a harvester-applicator width ratio of 0.75. The black points are the average points that resulted from the harvest misalignment and also the good points on the field. The blue curve is the estimated yield response when we use these black points, and the black curve is the true yield response function. It's clear that the averaging does affect the curvature of our estimated yield response function, and thus it's likely it will also affect the optimal rates. We simulate estimated profit losses over several factors, including the curvature of the yield response function, the misalignment type, and the severity of the misalignment. The highest profit losses were due to parallel shifts, with the losses being as high as $44 per hectare. We found that incompatible machinery widths had a small impact when the harvester was larger than the applicator, but the profit losses could be as large as $32 per hectare when the harvester is smaller than the applicator, and the losses were minimal for different driving angles. These figures visually present the simulation results discussed in the previous slide. The main conclusion of this research is that we should clean harvest misalignment before analyzing and calculating optimal input rates with OFE data, particularly when we have smaller harvesters than applicators, when we have parallel shifts, or when we expect the yield function to have high curvature.